Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you for stopping by to watch. I am telling you, the last few days, it's just crazy, right? Uh, we are being inundated, overwhelmed. It's like a flashbang grenade going off. And I think most of the average person that's been following all this stuff going on, it's becoming so overwhelming. They don't know what is going on, where to take this, to be sad, to be depressed, to be excited, to be on edge waiting for the next, movement. No one really knows. And I think that's probably part of the plan. In getting ready to make this video, I'll admit, I've struggled the last day or so of where to take some of these videos, where to take it. Not because there's lack of content. There's certainly a lot of things to talk about when it comes to preparedness and the, things that are going on in the world that we should kind of start, really preparing ourselves for. It's more so of trying to put it all into, a 15-20 minute video and make it something that's helpful to you. So there's been a struggle there. The channel, for whatever reason, the viewership has just dropped off sharply, starting at November 3rd, which I find is quite interesting. I could show you if I could. There's graphs that show that it's this incline going up, and then November 3rd, and it literally goes pew like that. What is that? Is it me? Am I not putting out good content, or is there something else going on? So, I want to put out content that you enjoy and that is helpful. And then with everything going on, it's really sometimes difficult to figure out just what to talk about. So you might see a few videos of talking about all that's going on. And I also throw stuff over on Patreon where I really dig deeper into subjects. There's some things that just YouTube does not like me to publicly talk about. So a lot of that kind of stuff, it goes over on the Patreon channel. And only for $1 a month, you can get in the door and see most everything that I post over there. But here we are, however many days, I haven't even counted. When I made this video today, it's Sunday. And so we're 5 days since there was an election. And according to the news media, the next president has been determined. All hail President-elect Joe Biden and his Vice President Kamala Harris, right? Well, as we all know, the news media does not determine who the president is. For those of you old enough, you can go back and remember George W. Bush and Al Gore's election, and they called it for Al Gore, and it wasn't until the middle of December that the Supreme Court determined that George W. Bush had won that campaign. Even Hillary Clinton, the last time around, Time magazine had a front cover, the Madam President, and she never became president. You could even go back to Harry S. Truman's campaign against Dewey, and the news media called it for Dewey. He was never president either. So there's still a lot to be determined. But the thing is that seems to me different with this election than any that I have personally witnessed and any that I have read about throughout history is the amount of tension. And it's not just tension between who really won. It's this overt tension of this might just be our last stand for liberty and freedom in this country. That the left, and I'm not talking about just Democrats, and I've got Democrats that watch this channel, and you speak out, and that's fine. I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about the Marxist, communist, globalist, New World Order left, the people that they absolutely hate your freedom, and they are hell-bent to push and shove this great reset, this New World Order, this, socialist, communist, Marxist takeover of the West, of the United States. As we've said many times before, they have received their marching orders, and they believe that their time is now, and they're not going to back down. And the tensions between that side and the side of freedom and liberty are probably greater than they have ever been before. You know, many of you might say, because I've had some comments and I've seen it on other sources on the internet, that, well, all of you preppers were talking about this big civil war that was going to happen on the election night, and it never really panned out. There's only been a little bit of violence here and there. Well, I don't think that any of us ever predicted that. All we were saying is the left is claiming that that's what they're going to do, and we need to get ready for it. But it's not over yet. Can you see that, at least how I see it, and I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, please point it out, that I can't see too many possibilities of scenarios that would play out and there not end up being something bad happening because of it. It's like we're just being overwhelmed, inundated with all the stuff. You know, the media is hailing him as president. The right is standing up and they're saying, hey, you know, the Trump supporters, we're not accepting this, and there's litigation still pending, and there's all this information of foul play and fraud going on. The media is completely ignoring it, and they're calling it all fake. Just on and on and on, and we're starting to see this slow buildup. You know, AOC and the far left claiming that they're already keeping lists of people that supported Trump, and they're going to use that list to basically ban those people from government service and possibly even just a job. You know, and don't think that you might say, well, I didn't support President Trump. You know, I'm a constitutional conservative, but I wasn't ever a Trump person. Do you think they're going to make the distinction? Do you think they're going to say, oh, yeah, you're that traditional conservative, constitutional patriot, and we're going to let you go. We're only going after the ones that specifically supported Trump. They're not going to make that distinction. Not at all. And just all of this that's happening with politics here in America, and we've got the rest of the world kind of sitting back, and I think a lot of them are just shaking their heads, and they're like, well, watching the downfall. I've seen some news articles from outside the U.S., and that's pretty much what they're alluding to, that this is a really dark time for the U.S., and the rest of the world is watching it. And the rest of the world is watching large cracks and chunks being taken out of this nation that was once the beacon on the hill, the global standard of freedom and of honesty and of truth. And they're seeing that fall apart. And all this that's happening, is it just more distraction? Is it all orchestrated and planned out? We don't know. I mean, at some points, certain times, it does feel that way, but we know for certain that things like the Great Reset, the Grand Solar Minimum, this New World Order takeover that's planned and it's already in full motion is happening. And one does have to pause and ask the question that all of this stuff that's happening with this election, is this just all part of the plan, you know, like everything else, to move us in that direction? You know, it's who knows? I mean, I don't have the answers, but what I can tell you is that there's a lot of stuff coming down the pike with that, and there's too much to go into a video today. I will probably try to be making more videos on that coming up, but I think a lot of the content's going to end up on Patreon, because it's some pretty serious stuff that will take some time to kind of dig into. But the fact is that we're being overwhelmed right now. And for those of us that want to prepare and that do prepare and that try to see what's on the horizon coming at us, I think that most any rational thinking person would see this as a really tumultuous and really dark time for us right now. That all this is happening, and quite possibly for the first time, you're going to have an election process where it's not really accepted by anyone. That one side will not be accepted by the people and the other side will not be accepted by a bunch of people. And there's a, you know, an uncertainty to how this is going to play out. If Trump is determined to not be the winner, Will he graciously walk away and allow Biden to take over? If Trump is declared the winner, would Biden do the same? Would their supporters support that? Would Biden's supporters step down and say, okay, it's been proven that Trump won and he's the president for 4 more years and we'll just try again? Or will they burn, loot, and destroy for the next 4 years until Trump is out? If Trump is determined to not be the winner, will his side just do the same? Will they just bow out and say, okay, well, this whole Trumpism thing didn't pan out the way we thought. The whole plan didn't work, so we're just gonna go away. And then if that happens, you're still left with Biden and Kamala in the White House. So to be honest with you, maybe we haven't seen a whole lot of violence. Maybe we haven't seen Civil War or World War III happen since the election. But I honestly cannot see a real positive outcome regardless. And I'm sure many of you Trump supporters are going to chime in and just give your take about how this is the plan, and the plan is to do this, and the plan is to do that. And maybe that is true, and maybe it works out, because there's always all this conspiracy around with Trump and Q and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that is what pans out. Maybe it is. But do you think that the left is still just gonna, walk away and say, oh, okay, all right? No, we're talking an increase in tensions, regardless of what happens. So, I think that we still have to get ready. I think that we still have to get our armor on, because now more than ever we are seeing this nation and what we have always believed to be freedom starting to slip through our fingers. We're seeing a really dark age, I believe, upon us. It's really started a long time ago, and one of my viewers commented in the last couple of days, this has been going on for years. It's just to a point now that the average American is now seeing it, and that's true. Those of us that kind of keep tabs on this stuff, we've seen it coming. We've seen it happen. It's just now so overt that the average person is realizing it, and they're like, oh, yeah, it is true. There is this obvious movement to change and to take away certain freedoms, and to mold and to reset society into something different. So we will go into that in other videos and over on Patreon a lot more. But folks, as you're watching this all play out, just know that every day that we go by where it's not quite sparked, that the time bomb hasn't gone off, that the powder keg hasn't quite ignited, know that that's just giving you a little bit more time to prepare for it. And I think regardless of the outcome with the election, and regardless of which direction this country starts to go down, I think that any result is going to mean that we need to be prepared. So continue to get yourself ready. I'm still working on the map. I'll show a little video clip here at the end of this video of the updated look of the map, of some pins. But I say that, and that was updated a couple of days ago, and I've gotten emails since then that I haven't placed on the map. So it just keeps growing. And we keep working on it. We'll be working on it some more today, of sending emails out and getting people connected. And for those of you hearing me speak of this and you're like, what the heck is he talking about, a map? There's a link in the description below of the map project to help you guys and gals get connected out there, because no matter how much resources of food and ammo and stuff that you have built up in your preps, if you don't have a connection of some level of a community, you're really missing out on the fullness of prepping, because we really can't do this lone wolf. I mean, in some scenarios it could work, and with certain people it could work, but for the average person and with what is happening now, we really need to build that connection, and that's what the map project is all about. So go ahead and watch that video, and kind of learned of what I mean when I speak of the map. So as we wrap this up, guys and gals, stick with it. There's a dark winter is coming, and there's a lot of stuff happening. January is going to be a crazy month, not just with the inauguration, if that even happens or how that happens, but there's some major financial changes. I won't go into detail here because it's a very long subject, but just to give you a heads up that basically how central banks communicate with each other and transfer money, they're completely changing that system right around the time of the inauguration. And they are already predicting a lot of financial turmoil because of that. So we've got that happening. We've got um, the inauguration happening. There's a lot of stuff going on, and the whole banking thing, it's all part of the Great Reset to reset us to a global digital currency, which is, I don't think they're even hiding the fact that that's what they're wanting to do. Anyways, with all that's happening, final thoughts. It's very easy to become very worried and panicked and down, and we can't do that. That's why we prep. We prep so that we don't panic. We prep so that we don't lose hope. And when we prep, we don't just prep our food. We don't just prep our tools. We don't just prep, our intellectual abilities and our psychological abilities to handle the situation. We prep our hearts too. And that's through our intercession with the Creator. So with all that's going on, don't lose hope, because we know how this story plays out in the end. And at least those of you that know what I'm talking about, there is still hope, but I believe that we are going to go through some pretty rough period here for a while, and how long it lasts still remains to be seen. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.